In the Scrappy community, we are really good at making our hobby our whole identity, our whole world. I mean, it's who we are. And when life gets in the way of that, it causes a lot of awkwardness and an almost uneasy feeling that's so hard to shake. Well, today, CraftyMeggy and I are talking all about balancing our real life with our scrappy goals and giving ourselves permission to just breathe. Hello, welcome to the Crafty Maven Getaway podcast. I'm your host, Hannah.
And I'm Megan. Thanks so much for joining us today. And I'm totally drawing a blank on the episode number, so it's okay.
No, yeah, 16.
16. Wow. It feels so weird because, I don't know. I don't feel like it's been that long because we've done it like every week, haven't we, for the most part?
Every week. Yeah, this year.
I
think there's been a couple of weeks where we haven't done it because like my surgery and stuff, but
Right.
For the most part, we've done it almost every week. We've been really good this year about staying on top of that. And and there's been a couple of weeks where I think we did extra just because we wanted to make sure that we're still staying on task and being ahead. And, this is Hannah working on my own behind the scenes stuff to be more productive and more like, more business like. Look at me. I'm an adult and I can do adult things and
Woohoo!
I always have been. I've always been like that. So let's get into what we're going to talk about. I know we've kind of been talking about mixed media, but today we're going to kind of switch our train of thought, our hats, whatever, and talk a little bit about balancing life with scrappy goals. Because one, we all have scrappy goals, and two, we all have a life outside of our scrappy goals.
Yes.
But I feel like in our community, we are really big into making our scrappy life and goals our identity.
Yes.
And that can cause a lot of like weirdness.
That's a good way to put it.
If you want to put it that way, I guess. Because one, that becomes your identity in way more ways than it needs to be. And I know like people do that with hobbies. It's not uncommon, right? It's like people who are hunters and fishers, that's like almost the first thing that they will tell you. I'm a hunter. Or, people who are into like planes and models and train, like some of those people aren't as, as crazy. But like I feel like there's certain hobbies, like for sure, that's like, so that's who I am.
Yeah, that's right? My identity. Yeah.
And then when you can't do it or your goals don't match up to reality, right? Mm-hmm. It kind of like is this blow. And I know this week you were going through a lot. I don't know how much you want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Get into the nitty-gritty, but I think that's kind of what we do. So if we want, I think we should. With you say how much you want to say in all this, so so I'm trying to think of like how I want to like get us in there, because this is almost going to be like a scrappy counseling session, if you will.
I love that.
Because sometimes we have to do that. Sometimes we have to get in and we have to pick apart these things. And we really have to, and a lot of it is attached to our reason why, we very much as humans, our productivity very much is attached also to our identity, especially in the scrappy community. Right. So how would you say you feel on a general basis when you don't feel like you meet your goals scrappy wise in real life, like in your day-to-day life, I should say?
That's kind of like a hard question to answer just because it depends on a lot of things. Like this last week, I'll say we had a lot of issues in like the home based around kids and stuff. And so that kind of clouds like my creativity, I guess you could say. Like and it's not, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I wouldn't say that I didn't scrapbook because of all of that. It would just be like, I wasn't in a headspace where I wanted to, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Hmm.
And so instead, I became attached to my wife. We kind of vegged a lot this week, just kind of like put everything else on the back burner
Yeah.
because it was kind of an emotional week, a hard week. Like, we didn't show up for our creative side, and it was okay. Like, I actually, last night was Friday night, and I actually got off work early, and I spent a ton of time just editing yesterday. And like today, I woke up and I felt like refreshed. Like, I needed to just do something for myself, and it didn't necessarily need to be touching papers or anything like that. And since I got off work early, like, I felt like I could actually do something for my creative side that wasn't touching things and being actually creative.
Hmm.
And that really helped me, I think. So, like, last night, we kind of, we did dinner, and like it felt like everything was back to normal. And like I felt refreshed after I was able to just kind of find myself again, like behind the scenes stuff, kind of like what you were talking about. Like, a lot of people don't really see that side of us and of our creative side. And I think that for us as YouTubers, and like you as a shop owner and a business and everything, like, that's kind of the hard part. Like, you want to create, but you also want to show up for people, like,
Yeah.
and it's hard to do both. It's hard to do the business aspect, but then also create.
Yeah.
And so that's like kind of why also this year, in my opinion, you got a design team to kind of get the name out there, because you were realizing you and I can't do it all. So
Yeah. Well,
it's
and I was
hard.
telling Cassie, I was like, I don't know how I did this without you. Like, she has been, I'm gonna give her
It's been
props again.
amazing.
Gonna probably feel embarrassed, hopefully. I hope she knows that. Like, this is coming out of pure admiration. Like, I am so thankful that
Right.
she is on my team, and she's a part of the Crafty Maven now. She is a part of
Mhm.
Crafty Maven. She's never allowed to go.
You're
But
not letting her go, huh?
you know. And I'm so thankful and grateful for that, because I came to that conclusion this week. I'm like, I don't, well, I do know how I did it with, it's like, because
Right.
I had a vision and a plan, and and that kind of fuels, but it only gets you so far, because like you
Exactly.
said, there's all these other things, and you put these, like, you have deadlines that you need to make. There's customers waiting on you, and
Hmm.
stuff. So you show up, but you can only partially show up because you can only do so much. And I know I was telling you that my issue is like, I only have, because I put boundaries, because let's step back, because we got talking this week, and I don't know how much like, anyway, we got talking this week, and I know I was saying how I had when I was going through my divorce, I had well, in that process, I had a really hard time. I know I've kind of mentioned it, and I'm going to say it again for anybody who doesn't really know. But I lost a lot of who I was. Like, I woke up one day and I was like, who am I, and where is Hannah? I miss this person that I was,
Yeah.
and it was showing up in my creativity, because it, like you said, it sucks that creativity out of you,
Hmm.
because you're having to put on a face in a way,
Yeah.
because you want to show up, you want to be creative, you love this stuff, but it's just not bringing the enjoyment that it needs to,
Right.
because all that other stuff kind of clouds it. And that's just part of life. So being able to find, like, how you balance that, and finding out how to, like, tackle that. And for me, I had to make a clear cut. It was like almost like an addiction. And I know we've talked about this of like using scrapbooking as a coping mechanism, which isn't bad necessarily. It's just how far do you take it? Because it became like an addiction. And I associated that with you. Like I was like, I had to clean cut it all out.
Right.
And not because I didn't want to do it. It's just, it was that if I didn't do it, I couldn't rebuild that foundation again.
Right.
I couldn't make, I would have kept coming back to that toxic relationship. I would have kept coming. I would have kept making the same mistakes. And I didn't want to do that. I needed to find Hannah, and I couldn't do that in this whole context.
So you're saying that the clean break was you completely stepped away from scrapbooking, right?
Yeah.
So you took a long, like, how many years was it? Like 3-4 years?
I think it was about 4 years completely, because I know there was some time in 2020 where I kind of started posting less. And then by 2021, I wasn't posting anymore. I was still doing some stuff with you, like still working a little bit on Project Life. But then at some point in 2021, I just stopped that too. I just stopped because and honestly, I was too busy. Like I was a single mom. I was doing school stuff so I could get a certification. It was just, there was just so much on my plate, and something had to go, and keeping that wasn't a priority at the time. And I don't think I was even aware of the decisions that I was making to do that for myself. It was just, there was other things that were priority, and I needed to focus on me. And I did so much work in therapy that like it just felt right to do, like it was okay to do that. I gave myself permission to do that. And I think that's part of the balancing of all of this, right? Is it's okay to step away. It's okay to do less. It's okay to do more. You have to figure out at the time, and it changes. Like just because it is working for now doesn't mean it's going to work for later, because later on in my relationship, now my husband, when I met him, I wasn't really scrapbooking when I met him. By the end of 2021, when I met him, I was not scrapbooking anymore. I mean, and so he didn't know this part of me in a large way. And
well, didn't he say recently, like, I didn't even know this, Hannah? Like, like he was like very like, whoa.
He loves this part of me because it is a part of me. Now, does he want me to talk about scrapbooking, and does he want me to spend all day here? No, because I have to have balance. And but because I took that break for whatever years, and actually he was the one who was like, dude, you need to be creative. Like this is a big part of who you are. Like I can tell, and there's something missing. And he really pushed me to get back into doing creative stuff. And once I started doing it, I realized, oh yeah, this is what I this is what I needed, And so like a lot of times these things do happen organically, but I think when we take the time to sit and think about it and make those priority changes to balance it all out, because like you were saying, if you didn't take that time this week to go, you know what, I just need to do this, I just need to step back, just need to rest, not force it, because I think as a community as a whole, we are just go push, because we don't want to be out whatever. And I've had to deal with that coming back. I've had to remind myself that like it's not about the race.
Right.
Because it's just so easy to get caught up in it. It's like you see people doing all these amazing, great things, and you're like, but what about me? So I feel like you can't walk away, but like that doesn't help us have that balance, because if we don't have that balance, something suffers. And then at the end of the day, it all suffers. And so how do you give yourself permission to do that?
Well, like you were saying, I think a lot of times it does happen organically. Like this week, I wanted to get a lot of stuff done, but it's just like Tuesday came and it was like, nope, that's not happening, you know? And then, like, as the week kind of progressed, it was like I felt better and better the more I kind of had stepped away. Like, I mean, I was able, I think I worked on the Crafty Maven Getaway blog a little bit yesterday. And, you know, like, so I kind of did like little small things. But I think it really was good for me to just focus on like, what do I need in this moment and not force, okay, I need to get into my scrap face. And I was actually talking to Ashley and she was like, well, what if you didn't record everything? And I
Hmm.
think as a YouTuber, and I know that you and I have kind of talked about this too, like we
Yeah.
feel that pressure. Like, I need to record everything. I need to be filming every layout. And like, she was like, what if you just record one a week or, you know, something like that, like one a month,
Hmm.
even like, and
Yeah, yeah,
just enjoy creating because, like, I mean, with the Crafty Maven Getaway, I don't have to do a video. I could just post on the, you know, on social media and
yeah,
show what I made. Like there's nobody saying you have to film this. And
yeah,
you get into this place where you're like, nope, I have to create, I have to film, I have, you know, I have to do all of these things. But it's like, really, you don't have to.
yeah,
And I'm coming to that realization, like, okay, I think I need to like relax a little bit, not be so, okay, what's my next project, not to plan everything,
yeah,
because I do like to plan, but there comes a point where I get so overwhelmed with all of these plans, you know? And
yeah,
then if I have too much planned, then I get like, okay, like fear, like, okay, what am I working on? I have no idea what I'm working, you know, like it's too
yeah.
much.
Yeah, well, it's that and we've done episodes recently this year about like the perfectionism
And the
and all that. And I
performance
think that's
anxiety.
tied into having to record everything. And I've gotten to the place where I don't record everything.
Yeah.
Now, I record a lot and I record more than I probably not, I shouldn't say used to, but in this time of my life, I
Right.
record more than because
Yes.
I'm doing more things for other like aspects. So where like certain things I might have not recorded, um, I do, you know.
Yeah.
So, but I also like when we do scrap chat stuff in our community, I don't record any of that. Like and I was thinking about that as I was doing reassessing like how much of project life I want to do because I really would love to share the videos, but then as I think about it, I'm like, I just don't know if I have time for
Hmm.
that part. Like it takes me a lot longer to do project life and I'd rather just enjoy it. And so I think like I came to the conclusion that I think I'm not gonna record it and I'm just gonna share it because then that just takes that element of pressure off that I put that on myself.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
So I think that in that balancing and having good scrappy goals, it's us reassessing and just saying, okay, what kind of decisions do I need to make to better my goals? Because even though some of the goals might be, oh, I want to get more views, you know, if you don't adjust certain elements of it, it just kind of snowballs into like this craziness that you can't control and or something in that process. It might be you might be snappy, you might be whatever, because you know you might feel defeated. And I think we all have, you know, it's like I know that's where I start comparing myself, which I never did. And that's the one thing I hate about that we put on ourselves. And it's not that we mean to do it, but it's like I see other people and I'm like, but what about me? And then I'm like, wait, I'm building something and I just got to be patient, because a lot of it is just patience. You know, we want these instant stuff, we want the instant views, we want the instant, like we want everybody to like us, we want everybody to love our art, you know. And it's just not going to be that way. And what Susie is doing and what Marie is doing, I don't, you know, like what everybody else is doing isn't going to work for us. Well,
Right.
and like with you were talking this week about some of the issues that you were working through with why you feel like things were kind of going out of control. And I was like, you took that break, what was it, last year for a little bit of time. And I was like, I wonder what it would have looked like if you had completely taken a break, like completely.
Yeah.
And just not did anything, because you kind of were there. You were like, I need to cut some things. I have a lot of stuff going on. And I'm like, and I was thinking about that, going, what would it have looked like if you did it a little bit different? Now, obviously you can't go back.
Right.
But you can still take elements of that and go, okay, because once again, I'm going to relate it to a toxic relationship. If we don't do it right, we go back to these old things, our old coping mechanisms. And I know, like, for both you and I, our home life wasn't the best. So we use scrapbooking as a coping mechanism. Now, some of us use, like, it's more about our identity and building ourselves up, right? And making ourselves feel better. And so, like, depending on what the reason why things are kind of out of line is how you would dress it, right? So, like, for us, using it as a coping mechanism, you almost have to stop and figure out, how can I do this but keep boundaries in place? Because we have to have boundaries. Like, I feel like that's one of the biggest things with mental health, and this goes in line with scrapbooking, but it goes with all life, is if you don't have boundaries set, you are never going to succeed in the way that you ever want to, because you have to be able to say no, you have to be able to say yes, but you also have to have your words meet your actions. So how do we do that? And it's not an easy answer. And like, the balancing, it's like, and everything adjusts, but and even like, you went from your kids being a lot older to now your stepkids being a lot younger. They need more of you in a different way, right?
Yep. Well, and they're different from my kids because they came from a different situation. Ashley was their only parent. And so, like, me coming into that, and now they have two parents, like, they're kind of like, whoa, like, kind of overwhelmed with the fact that now mom has somebody that's backing her up, and I'm not going to let them get away, and like, all of us learning. And even after being together for 4 years, we're still learning and blending this family that we're making. And a lot of times, like, that does mean, okay, I'm not going to scrapbook tonight because I need to be there for my family. And
I want to be there.
Exactly. I want to be there. I need to be there. They need this. They love it. And it's very grounding for all of us, I think. And I came to the realization that, this week, like, I was looking back on my ex and my relationship before we, everything happened. And, like, I really was going into my room as an escape. Like, and I never really thought about it until this week, and realizing, like, oh my goodness, I don't want that anymore. Like, when we're having issues at home, I don't want to escape and go scrapbook or, hide away. And I want to be involved in my family. And when we're having issues, like, I want to work through them. And I never had that before. And that was kind of like an epiphany that I had this week with my therapist. Like, I remember I was like messaging you, and I was like, we just had the biggest epiphany. And it was like mind blowing. Like, neither my therapist nor I realized that that's what it was about, was that this whole week was just about the fact that I want to be here with my family, and I don't want to escape. I don't want to run away. I want to work through it. And, like, when you have those big moments, those big epiphanies, you're just like, oh my God. And then you're like, okay, now we can move forward. And I
now
know
the right boundaries and the right goals that meet. And I think that's part of it, is that we don't adjust to our situation. We're just like, oh, well, Susie's posting, 5 times a week, so I gotta do it. I gotta do all the hops, because that's, that's better for my channel. I really loved it. And sometimes it's just, I really love to do all the hops. I want to do all the stuff.
Yeah.
Or, it's like, oh, I'm having a hard week. I want to buy, but like how, like you can't keep that consistently. Right. So how, and there isn't, like, unfortunately, there's not a rule book or a handbook like the silhouette guide that tells you this is what you do for this. This is how you troubleshoot this. You can't. You have to think about it. You have to take the time to sit down and have those epiphanies, because if you don't,
yes,
it just becomes its own thing. And not that it doesn't work out or you can't figure it out. It's like that. I'm not saying that. And in all reality, scrapbooking is just putting paper and like putting stuff on paper with photos, and and you're going to have pages either way, but those pages will mean so much more to you. Documenting the stories that you really want to document are going to mean, I just feel like just the flow is so much better. And then the creativity is better. It's like, I think about now that I'm a little bit more organized, which I hate to say this because everybody should know I am not an organization person.
What?
I do not like plans. I do not like all the to-do lists. I was looking through, as I was going through my room and organizing the books that I had when I was on teams, because what I did is each time I did a layout, I would write down the information, like the stuff that I used, the supplies, and the title, and like sometimes I would write down like some of the things that I needed to still do. And I was looking through this and I was like, but I was in the right mindset, right?
Yeah.
Like I was in a creative mindset. So I just wrote down what I needed to do, not because I remember there was one point in Hawaii where I was trying to write down everything and it just overwhelms me. And I feel like I sometimes get to that point here, but like I honestly sometimes I have to be a little bit more like balanced. I have to have that plan because I have to remind myself, oh yeah, I have the newsletter this day, and I have to start working on the kits this day. I have to start working on the new stencils this day. And like, but because I'm more organized and because I know what I have to do, I can, when I sit down, I don't have to worry about all of the like, oh shoot, I still needed to do this and that. So it's not blocking my creativity either. So, and it's not easy. It's just not easy, but the creativity flows so much better. Like you said, you felt refreshed this week, this morning when you woke up, you were ready because you took the time to just say, it's like I had to do that last night too. My husband wasn't feeling well, and I had stuff that I was like, today's my work day. And at first I thought about it and I was like kind of irritated. I was like, dang, today is my work day. Like I only have so many days because I've already put these boundaries in. And so I gave myself permission to be in here longer than I probably would have.
Yeah.
Going, okay, I have to get these few things done. And I was like, but I'm going to bring some stuff and we can relax. I can work on filling like, the little add-on bags and all that kind of stuff. I can work on that and still relax and still be with him and take care, make sure he has the stuff that he needs. Cause we all know how men are when they
men cold.
But men sometimes are a little bit worse for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But so it was like I was still able to find that balance, and so I didn't feel like so behind when I woke up this morning, because I've had days where I've like procrastinated, or I put things off because I was trying to do other things, and then you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so behind. I have all these things, and I was glad because I woke up this morning and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take some time. I've also started taking a little bit of time just for myself to just like have coffee and like feel like I could just scroll for a little while and just like I allow myself to have these breaks, because otherwise I will burn out. You will burn out in scrapbooking. And if you're not a content creator, and so I know like a lot of us were talking about the content creation, but it also goes into like people who don't do that. So I was watching Emma, who used to be on our team. She used to do a lot of this. And she doesn't share all her stuff the way that she used to.
Right.
because she works and she has a busy life, right?
Mhm.
So but she was saying how she gives herself like a scrappy holiday where she has a week or whatever where she does the stuff that she wants to get accomplished for her goals. And she was talking about how she didn't even set herself up this year, and so like her scrappy vacation was like put on like hold basically because she wasn't prepared, and so it was causing her more stress. It's just like the stuff that we've talked about, like when you don't fill your cup, if you don't do the steps to be prepared, right, or have that balance,
Right.
then it takes from your cup instead of fills your cup, and the whole point is to fill your cup. And so but it's like giving yourself like saying, I can't scrapbook all this time, but I can go to this hop or crop, and I can, I'll bring these projects that I want to do. Like you on National Scrapbooking Day weekend, you did in-person hop or
Yeah.
crop, and you brought your December daily and you finished it.
I finished it.
Right?
I know. Yep.
So, I mean, I know you were stressed out because you hadn't gotten everything all together until the night before, but that's besides the point. So, it's like giving yourself sometimes it starts with that goal, right? Of going, okay, what is realistic? And I know we've talked about this so many times, but what is realistic? And I think we really have to be honest with ourselves when we have these goals, when we have any kind of goal, like I want to do Project Life this year. Is that probably realistic? No. It really is not, because I want to do a whole 12 by 12 thing. I've done it before. I absolutely love the way that I do it, that I've done it in the past, like more in the past. It's like, I love it. I love seeing those moments, but I also know that one, I don't take nearly as much photos. I mean, I take more scrappy photos because that's what I'm doing.
What you do, yeah.
But so it's like also giving myself permission that it doesn't have to be accomplished. It's like sometimes, so you need to have goals that are accomplished, like reasonable, but then you also need to give yourself like that permission to say, okay, if I don't accomplish this, it doesn't affect my personality, it doesn't affect my identity, it doesn't affect what was good about my week or bad about my week. It is just what it is, because it's when we put so much pressure on ourselves, it just does not pan out.
Yeah, definitely. Doesn't go well.
Yeah. Anyway, is there anything else? Because I know we've kind of talked about this. I didn't want to beat the horse dead here.
No,
but I
think
want to
we
remind everybody that having reasonable goals and figuring out what you need to do to have that balance is so it's so needed, especially if you're a content creator in the scrappy world, but even if you're not, so
yeah, I agree with that. And I feel like my theme this year for like scrappy content and like showing up for yourself is just be you, be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else. And I mean, I think that applies to here. Like I needed to take a step back from my scrapbooking this week and it worked out and I feel back to normal now. And I was able to show up for my family and for myself how I needed it. So like, don't force things, show up for yourself and your family. Like, I mean, that's the most important thing. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that we're going to go today.
Yes.
Don't forget to readjust your expectations and your goals and your life, depending on how you can fill your cup in all the different areas. So anyway, we'll see you guys next week later.
Whatever. Bye.
Bye.